Hey guys, we're going to be learning how to make this beautiful baby girl dress. Okay, so I have my paper here. You're all welcome back. Okay, so this paper here have the length of the half length. Okay, that is the upper part, which is 12 inches, and I added extra 1 inch allowance. Okay, I also added my zipper allowance here, which is 1.25, and I rule out the lines and label them as well. So without wasting time, I'm going to divide my shoulder measurement by 2, which is 6.5 inches. Mark it on the shoulder line and on the chest line. And I'm going to connect into a straight line this way. And the next thing I'm going to do right now is to get our armhole shoulder slope of 0.5 inches, our neck width of 2.5 inches. Okay, I'm going to slope my shoulder like this. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to get the middle point of my armhole line, and I'm going to come in by 0.25. Okay, then divide my bust circumference by 4, mark it on the chest line, and I'm going to connect to form our armhole curve. Okay, so please bear with me on the background noise. My neighbor is actually renovating. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark my dart. Okay, so if you don't want to add that to yours, please skip this part. Okay, skip this part, because I actually observed that some doesn't like adding that to their uh kiddies dresses. Okay, but mine, I have this beautiful look whenever I add that, and that is why I always add that to mine. Okay, so I mark the nipple to nipple point divided by 2 and came in and out of the line by 0.25. Okay, and I connected to the chest line area. Can you see? So the next thing I'm going to do now is to extend this line out to the allowance line. Okay, that is the hem allowance line, and I'm going to mark on my back neckline of 1 inch. Okay, and the front neckline, which is carrying the collar as you've seen at the starting of this video, I'm going to mark 5 inches. Okay, that's going to be the depth of the V neck line for the front. Okay, so I'm going to connect it and extend it to the back part. Okay, so this 1 inch line is going to be for the back neckline, and this 5 inches is going to be front neckline. I hope you get that. Okay, so it basically means that I'm cutting both the front half length and the back half length on this one paper. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to measure what I have here and impute it on the waistline as well. And I'm going to connect into a straight line, and after connecting into a straight line, I'm going to add my dart. Okay, so sometimes I like adding my dart on my paper, and sometimes I like adding it on my main fabric. Okay, so guys, I forgot to add my dart allowance. I'm going to do that when I'm cutting on my main fabric. Okay, so I'm going to cut out the back neckline first. Okay, cut out my shoulder slope, and I'm also going to cut out on the main bodice, and after that I'm going to get my main fabric to cut out the back part. Okay, so after cutting out the back part, I'm going to cut out the front neckline and cut the front part on my main fabric. Okay, so that is what I'm going to do right now. Okay, so this dress, as you have seen from the starting of the video, is a 2-layer dress and with v-neck cape. So I went on to cut my back part. Can you see it here? Okay, and I'm just going to set it aside. Now it's time to remove the front part, so I'm just going to cut the front neckline this way, and after that I'm going to fold in the zipper allowance. Okay, because we don't need it for the front. I'll fold it in here, get another fabric and cut it out. And after doing that, I'm going to get the skirt part. Okay, so this fabric here, I'll fold it into, place the paper on top and cut out, and I'm going to get the skirt part ready. Okay, so this is the fabric I want to use for the skirt part. Can you see? This plain fabric is going to be for the longest part of the skirt part. Can you see it? Okay, and I went on to fold it into 6. So what I did was that I folded into 4. I made a 4 fold, and after making it 4 fold, I further folded into a triangular form. Can you see? It is in a triangular form right now, and that's what makes the summation of the folding to amount to 6 3 places. Okay, 3 places on fold, which is 6 places when open. Okay, so I'm going to be measuring from this pointed side to 8 inches. Okay, so what I'm actually measuring is to get a kind of times 2 of my waist circumference. Okay, I'm trying to get times 2 of my waist circumference because I want it to have gathers around the waist. I'm going to gather this part. Okay, so go ahead and get times 2 of your waist circumference. So I got 6.5 inches, and remember the fold is on 6 inches, which is 3 inches on fold. Okay, so I multiply that 6.5 inches by 6, and it's giving me about 39 inches or so, which is almost times 2 of my waist circumference. Do you get that? So from there, I'm going to place my tape, subtracting our half length, then get the full length. Okay, so remember my half length is 12 inches, so I'm placing that 12 inches there to get my full length. Okay, so my full length is that I'm marking here is 31 inches, and that includes also my hemming allowance. Okay, so that is what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to mark it all round. I'm going to mark it round and get a kind of circle shaped flake. Okay, so that is what I'm going to do right now, and I'm just going to go ahead to cut out. Okay, so I was not cutting out, and this is what we have. Can you see? So I'm just going to open it up to show us what we have. Can you see it? Okay, so I have enough allowance for my to achieve my gathering, and I'm going to slit open this side. Okay, so after doing that, the next thing we are going to do is to get the flowered fabric that we're going to use to cut out the small part of the layer. Okay, the second part of the layer. So I have this fabric here, and I folded into 4, so I'm going to refold into triangle shape. Can you see? So this is exactly how I folded the first one we just cut out. Okay, so if you're getting confused on if you're confused about how to fold it, this is exactly how I folded it. Fold into 4 and further refold in the triangle shape. Okay, so I don't want this part to be as much as the first one on the waist side. Okay, so I proceeded to measure 3 inches, and it didn't actually give me what I wanted. Okay, so what I want to use for this second part is my waist circumference plus 10 inches allowance. Okay, so that is because I just want it to have a little gather around there. I don't want it to have a too much gathers. So I went on to add another 1 inch to the measurement, and after measuring what I have, I have 4.5 inches, and it's just perfect for what I have. Okay, so if I multiply that 4.5 inches by 6, it's going to give me what I want. So I'm going to measure 8 inches round because that is the length of my the length I want this small layer to have. Okay, so I'm going to measure it round, and after measuring it round, I'm going to cut it out and show you what we have. wash it neatly. Keep the leave there. So I went on to measure the length of my sleeve, which is 7 inches, mark on it, and I'll just go ahead and mark this side as well and rule it into a straight line. Okay, so after ruling into a straight line, the next thing I'm going to do is to measure 2 inches here. Okay, I'll measure 2 inches inward here and come down this folded part by 0.5 inches, that is half an inch. I'll mark and I'll also connect it this way. Okay, so after connecting, I'm going to add 1 inch allowance here, and I'm going to come down here to get our curve, that is armhole curve, by 3.5 inches, and I'm going to connect in a curvy shape this way. I'll measure what I have. Okay, and as you can see from here, it gives me exactly what I have on the remaining armhole plus allowance as well. So I'm going to measure my biceps divided by 2 and mark it and add 1 inch allowance to it, and I'm going to cut out, and I also cut out the second part. Okay, so if you have watched up to this point and you're yet to subscribe, go ahead and hit on the subscribe button staring at you, and like this video. Also drop a comment for me. Okay, if you have any question, you can go ahead and ask. If you don't have any question, you can also tell us thank you. Okay, so I'll pipe the upper part and the down part and also cut the second sleeve. So here is the front part, and I'm just going to bring the back part and I'll place the back part on the front part to join the shoulder. Okay, remember we are adding cape to it. Okay, it has a v-neck cape, so we're not going to a kind of hem the neckline or close it with lining piece. Okay, I'm not going to hem it with lining piece, so I place it this way and I'll go back to my machine and join. I went on to join and I also sew my dart. Can you see? I sew my front dart and also my back dart, and I also went on to join my zipper allowance line with a loose stitch. Okay, so I'm going to open it up this way, and the next thing I'm going to do is to bring in my sleeve. See, I've hemmed the upper part and the down part. I did the same thing on this second part as well. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do right now is to, from the shoulder line, that is the shoulder line where we join, I'll measure 3 inches and also measure that same 3 inches on this other part. Okay, so I'll bring in my sleeve. I'll fold the upper part of my sleeve into 2 this way, and I also measure that same 3 inches and I'll mark. Okay, so after marking, I am going to duplicate the marking on the other side, and I'm going to fix it to my half length, and after fixing it, I am also going to conceal the rough edges. Okay, so I'll place it right side facing right side. I'll fix it down to the armhole on the chest line, and I'll do the same thing on the second part, and I'll bring it back for us to see. Okay, so the next thing I did was to turn the small flare with my lining piece. Can you see it? And the other long part, I also hemmed it down, and after hemming it down, I also gathered around the waistline. Can you see it? I gathered it to give me my exact waist circumference that I need, and I'm going to place the upper part, the small flare on top of the bigger flare this way, and I'll go back to my machine and join. Okay, so I was done attaching my sleeve. Can you see what we have? And I pipe the cold shoulder area. Okay, can you see it? I pipe it to make it very neat, conceal all the rough edges around there. Okay, I did that on the second sleeve as well. Okay, can you see how neat it's looking? So the next thing I'm going to do right now, the next thing I did was to attach my belt. Sorry, I didn't mention that earlier. I also attached my belt. Okay, so I went up 0.5 inches and attached my belt. So I was done joining the skirt part. Can you see it? Okay, so this is the skirt part. Now I went on to sew it down to join the small one, this big one. So I'll bring back the half length, and the next thing I'm going to do is to go and join it with my exact waist circumference divided by 2 and bust circumference divided by 2. So I'll join it and I'll bring it back for us to see. So I'll also attach the skirt part to it. So I went on to join and I attach my skirt part. I measure from my shoulder to my exact half length and I attach my skirt part to it. So the next thing I'm going to do is to attach my lining. So I have my lining here. I hem the down as well and also attach net to it. Okay, so I love attaching net to kiddies dresses because it makes it look very stunning. So I'm going to make sure that the notched part in the center front matches the notched part of my lining center front, and I'll place it this way and join it, after which I'll bring it back for us to see. Okay, so I went on to do that. As you can see, can you see what we have here? And I also concealed this line, okay, the zipper allowance line. I neatly concealed it from the inside. Can you see? So you can see how beautiful it's looking. So the next thing is for us to cut our cape, okay, for the neckline. Okay, so I have this paper and that is what we're going to be using to cut our cape. And I'm going to fold the neckline of my main fabric into two this way, and I'm going to lie it flat on the paper and use my pen to trace what we have. Okay, so I'm just going to lie it flat, ensuring that the shoulder line of both sides is aligning and is seated comfortably and flat on the paper. Okay, it's lying comfortably on the paper. Then I'll go ahead and trace it. Okay, so like I said, if you're here to subscribe, go ahead and subscribe. Okay, so when you subscribe, you don't miss out on latest trend. You always be, as in, you always be you always follow the trend, because whatever trend we have, whatever drops, we are going to see it and you are going to get notified. You are going to know what is in vogue. You are going to know the trend and in fashion. Okay, so that is one important reason why you should subscribe. So go ahead and click that subscribe button staring at you. So here I'm going to measure 5 inches down, and here I'm going to measure 2.5 inches, and I'll just take that 2.5 inches to the middle point of this neckline here, and I'm just going to trace it this way, connecting it down to the 5 inches we have at the down part. Okay, so can you see what we have? So I'm just going to try to connect it and give it the shape that I need, the shape I feel is okay. Okay, so here I don't want this part to be straight this way, so I'm going to reshape it by coming in by 1.1 inch. Okay, 1 inch and mark. I'll pick my ruler and connect this 1 inch up to the neckline. Can you see it? Okay, I connected it to the center front of the neckline, and I'm just going to try to connect this part with my ruler and this upper part as well, giving it my desired shape. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I will use my tracing pen to my marker pen, sorry, to trace it so that it can be very visible to you guys. So can you see what we have here? I want to give this same shape to this upper part. Okay, so I'm going to measure 1 inch here, and I will mark, and I'll also connect it to the to the center neck of this back part. Can you see? So I proceeded to connect it, and this is what we have. Okay, so I'm going to measure what we have here to see if it will align with what I'll have on my neckline for the main fabric. So I'll bring in my main fabric, fold it into two as well, and I'm going to measure it. Okay, so I went on to measure it, and this is what I have. I actually have about 0.5 inches short edge, but don't worry, we are going to add that back when cutting on the main fabric. So I proceed to cut out, and after cutting out, I'm going to bring in the main fabric I'm going to use for this neck line. Okay, so I went on to fold this flowered fabric into two. Okay, so remember we were having shortage here, so I'm going to measure 1 inch. This 1 inch includes the 0.5 inches shortage and 0.5 inches allowance for joining with the lining piece. So I connected it down here and this part as well. So I'm going to be adding 0.5 inches round this whole collar. Okay, I'm going to add it round, and after adding it round, I'm going to cut out, then cut out on the second part, which is going to serve as our lining piece. And I'll just do that and show you what we have. Okay, so just pay attention. So if there's anything you don't understand regarding this tutorial, or the subsequent one, I mean the ones I've already made, the tutorials I already have on my channel, if there's any question you have, you are very free to ask any question. Okay, and I promise you I will attend to that on the comment section. Okay, so feel free to ask question whenever you have any. Okay, but if you don't have, you can also, drop a thank you message for us. So I proceeded to add 0.5 inches round, and I'm going to cut out right now. So this is what I have. So I have this plain fabric, and I'm going to use it to cut another two pieces, okay, for the lining piece. So I'll do that and join it and bring it back for us to see. Okay, so I went on to turn it. Can you see I didn't turn this part, I turned this down. So I also made this plain one, the plain fabric, smaller by 0.25 than the flowered fabric, and I turned this down part and the both side. Okay, so I went on to also attach one to the neckline, and I'm going to show you how you're going to attach the second part. Okay, so can you see the way I attach this part? This long part now, this side is going to be go to the front. Okay, can you see? And the plain one is going to be at the front also. Okay, so I'm going to pick this one now. Okay, and I'm going to be placing the right side, which is the plain side, on the wrong side of the main fabric, ensuring that this one went on top of the existing cape by 0.5 inches. Okay, so I'm going to just a kind of place it on top of the existing cape by 0.5 inches, and I'll get my pin. I'll pin it down round. Okay, I'll pin it down round and make sure that it give me the same thing this other part that I had joined. Okay, gives me. Okay, so I'll go over to my machine and I'm going to sew it, and after sewing it I'm going to bring it back for us to see. So after sewing, ensure that you notch it properly. Okay, so after notching, you also top stitch. It is very important so that when you turn it like this, it will be very flat. So can you see I went on to sew it, and I also top stitch around and also fix my zipper. Can you see? It's very beautiful. There is no doubt to that, because even you can testify to that. So I'm just going to trim off the excess I have around here. And remember, it is also important to overlock the inside. That will make it look very neat on the inside. Okay, so I will trim off all the excesses, the frilling edges, before I overlock. Okay, so can you see what we have? So I also have a tutorial video on how to make this simple DIY fabric flower. So if you have not watched that video, go ahead and check my channel and watch it. Thank you so much. Bye.